recording. So it's playing right now. So welcome to the SnowMirror webinar. Please let me introduce myself first. My name is Pavel Miller, and I am a ServiceNow architect, mainly focusing on integrations. I've been working with ServiceNow since 2011, and my background is development. I'm basically a solution architect and former Java architect and developer. So I am a tech guy, but of course I can also explain to you or talk about the SnowMirror licensing. So but webinar will be mainly about the technology. I am with a company called Guide Vision, and we'll use Guide Vision a bit. We are actually one of the biggest ServiceNow partners in Europe. We are headquartered here in Prague, Czech Republic, but we do these implementations mainly in the Central European region, including Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, and also in the Nordic countries. We've got more than 180 consultants, and we are a ServiceNow Gold partner. So this is our main business, implementing ServiceNow for ServiceNow customers. And SnowMirror is one of our products. We have eventually developed this tool for one of our customers back in 2012. And later we realized that this tool is actually needed by our customers. So we started developing the product, and we've got more than 100 customers globally. So we've been successful with the tool. So to avoid any confusion, Guide Vision, this is a service company, and SnowMirror is a product brand. So look at the agenda of today's webinar. I would like to talk about the challenges that ServiceNow customers are having regarding the ServiceNow data. And also I will briefly talk about the reporting best practices in general, especially in connection with the cloud platforms. And I will give you a brief SnowMirror introduction, and all of this take about 20 minutes, and spend the rest of the webinar installing and configuring SnowMirror to show you the tool live. I duplicate a few ServiceNow tables. I will show you how it looks like in a database. And there will be enough time for questions and answers at the end. We will have about 10 minutes to address your questions. So please do not hesitate to type your questions into the chat window. I will go through them one by one to answer them. So let's look at the challenges, what we see with our own ServiceNow customers or the services customers. They typically ServiceNow, they are happy to have a cloud platform. They even use the embedded reporting or even the performance analytics. But then, since ServiceNow is usually being used by the biggest, they are typically having their own reporting teams or data housing teams. They've got their favorite reporting platforms such as Power BI or Tableau or Click or Microsoft reporting services. What we see with our customers is that sooner or later there is a requirement of something like, hey, I would like to build reports on top of this ServiceNow data in my tool, or I would like to load the data into a data warehouse. And we're to address these issues, and this is, I would say, about 80% of the use cases for SnowMirror. I would say about percent of our customers actually have this reporting or BI need. And what we also see that might be a challenge with our ServiceNow customer is that the ServiceNow teams are getting more requests for reading the data from ServiceNow from tools in the company, such as editing tools or AMDB software or some portal and so on. So they're integrating more and more tools just to read the data from ServiceNow. And so their challenge, especially in some types of organizations, such as government or financial or healthcare, or certain countries have business continuity plans. These send us like, what if there is no ServiceNow anymore, or they need to be compliant with some legal requirements, such as they have to have data in own countries. So these are typical challenges that we face, or the customers face. So let's more about technology, because this is important when talking about data ServiceNow. So what you might not know, that there is no direct service database access. ServiceNow does not allow you, the customers, or us, partners, to access the underlying ServiceNow database. They even don't have any bulk API to access the data in bulk. For example, comparing to the Salesforce platform, which has a very nice bulk API, there's no API in ServiceNow. The API or way how to access the data is either the REST API or the SOAP API. Basically, no other way how to get to the data. Typically, the first choice, imagine a situation that you've got a Power BI tool and you want to build a report on top of your millions of incidents. The first idea you might get is, okay, use the out-of-the-box ServiceNow ODBC driver. But as I have just explained to you, there is no direct database access. So this ODB driver is in fact a fake driver. It is just a wrapper around the SOAP web services. So if you use such an ODBC driver, every single SQL query is translated to an HTTP call via the SOAP API, and it is being sent to SNOW. So you want to build a report on a million of records in your Power BI, you will not get a response from ServiceNow, that's for sure. And even worse, the ODBC driver does not work well. It is a bit hard to configure. It is not stable enough. It has those limitations, as I explained. So in general, this is not a production-ready solution. That's what the drivers why we have developed SnowMirror, because out-of-the-box tools are not really production-ready. Now talk about the reporting use case in more detail, because I knew this example of connecting Power BI to ServiceNow, and from my point of view, this is really the best practice. So first of all, connecting reporting environments or reporting tools to production systems is not a good idea. Imagine that this was not ServiceNow, but it was an internet banking. And it would be clear that you don't want to connect Power BI to a live internet banking application. And ServiceNow is basically the same way. So certainly you are not able to get fast in time. There might be some security issues because you cannot access all of the data. There is no history of the records and so on. But my biggest point is that report affects live environment. So the industry standard is to have a dedicated reporting environment, or what we can call a read replica. We call it an operational data store or a stage area it doesn't matter. It is basically a database which contains a of the data. The are clear. You are having because you don't have to access the cloud environment over the internet. You can work with the data locally, which is fast enough even for millions of incidents, and have some data structures for better reporting. You load the data into a data warehouse to have historical data. You have control over the data. You can blend the data with other data sources and so on. So these are proven best practice, and the new cloud solutions are not basically changing this best practice. So even for ServiceNow, it makes sense to have such a replica. Now, if you want to build reports on top of the ServiceNow data, you can have two approaches, and what we see with our users, they are, I would say, equal. Either you've got this operational data store or reporting database, and you build the directly on top of this database. So imagine this reporting solution is a table, and the ODS is SnowMirror database. In this case, you have then the ServiceNow data model. You work with tables such as incident and sysuser. You join those tables and build your report. So one of ways how to do it without actually impact ServiceNow, without waiting for all the data to load. This is very popular approach. And what we also see with our users is if they have a data warehouse or some Hadoop solution or a data lake, whatever, they use the mirror database, which we are providing here, as a staging area. So then our users are typically having additional downstream ETL processes to load the data into their own data structures or data warehouses. And they build the reports on these structures. So two approaches that you can for the cloud reporting in general. Now, SnowMirror is a smart data replication tool for ServiceNow. It is a certified application with ServiceNow. We've been developing this tool for about 6 years. We've got even more. We've got more than 120 customers globally. So this is an enterprise-ready tool. If you see a picture here on the left side, this is your ServiceNow cloud instance, and then right here, this is your own environment. So either your data center or a cloud environment under your control, like Azure or AWS. And SnowMirror is a small piece of software. It is basically an agent loading the data from ServiceNow and storing it to your own database, such as Oracle or Microsoft SQL Server. And once the data locally, you use it for many purposes, as I was explaining. So, for example, reporting, read-only integrations, data archiving, backup, and more. So, with SnowMirror, you can select the tables you need, the field, how often you want to load the data, and SnowMirror tables database, and it maintains the tables up to date by getting the data from ServiceNow. Here, a bit higher. Once again, what are typical benefits if you have such a tool? Number one is reporting and BI. The biggest benefit is that you can reports on top of your favorite report type platform. You can build integration hub for a mirror database by connecting other tools to read the service from this database. So instead of integrating other tools using REST API directly to a production ServiceNow instance, you connect those tools using ODBC or JDBC with a database. And we've got several use cases such as business continuity or disaster recovery. So again, if you have a copy of the data on-prem, you can make SnowMirror part of your recovery plans because SnowMirror is able to wrap the attachments, the documents from ServiceNow as well. And some more users use SnowMirror for an on-premise ServiceNow backups and all for data archiving. Networks, once again, a very similar picture, but we will be installing and configuring SnowMirror. You understand the architecture. So you need, or we will need, 3 things to make SnowMirror work. So we need a server where it installs SnowMirror. So this is a small virtual machine on Azure VM or AWS VM where you install SnowMirror, and it assists ServiceNow using out-of-the-box API. So the good news is that you don't have to modify your ServiceNow instance at all. The only thing we need here is username and password with sufficient permissions to be able to access the data. The last thing you need is an empty database, such as Oracle, Schema, or SQL Server database. And SnowMirror, as you will see, is creating, altering, and dropping the tables in the database according to its configuration. The key message for you here is that SnowMirror is not mapping the data anywhere, it is matching the schema for. The mirror database is not part of the product, this is your own database, your own SQL Server or your own MySQL DB. And you have the data inside your network, inside your data center, like that. So the agent here uses a so-called configuration database. It contains the agent's config, like which tables, which fields, how often to load. It contains also the replication history. By default, as you will see, you can store this data in a file database, in a small file database, but for big production instances, we recommend having a separate schema. For example, in your SQL Server, to have the environment more robust, more stable. I think it is a good idea to mix this configuration data with the replicated ServiceNow data. Architecture, as you can see, the architecture idea is very similar to a mid server, and we even have users that are installing SnowMirror next to a mid server to the server machine. Question, or is SnowMirror impacting performance of the ServiceNow instance? So please let me explain a bit technology, how it works, and why SnowMirror is typically better than homegrown solutions or custom scripts or even some competition. The key performance thing is that SnowMirror is able to identify individual ServiceNow nodes on the ServiceNow side. These are actually applicators in the code that is ServiceNow having in their own infrastructure. SnowMirror maintains 2 sessions with each and every node, and it is able to download the data in parallel. So this is one of the key reasons why SnowMirror is balancing the load through the ServiceNow cloud, and why it is fast enough even with the biggest ServiceNow instances containing tens of millions of records. The reason that is that it is able to download the data from multiple nodes. So the secret behind the performance and impact on ServiceNow. So now let's look at demo, because SnowMirror is very simple to install and configure. You'll be able to install it yourself on your own laptop or to build your proof of concept. So let's show you how to do it in your environment. So with our website, by the way, it contains all of the necessary information that you need, including admin guide, user guide, case studies, pricing. Everything is here. And we start with downloading a free trial. So let's go to a free trial form, and let's get a trial license first. Okay, that's me. The company, how did you learn about us? Of course, from the ServiceNow community. We've got some reviews there as well. An important step here is to fill in the ServiceNow instance you want to replicate. The license is always bound to a ServiceNow host name, so please fill in your development instance or tenants. I will our partner instances. Okay, now I will get to my email, hopefully. And the Windows installer. SnowMirror is a Java application, so we support both Windows and Linux environments. For installation purposes, I would recommend you to start with your own Windows machine. It is usually to install and configure. So let's the Windows installer. With all the small letters. Now, there are three options how you can install. The Express install is a very good choice for the evaluation purposes. There's also a custom install option. It might be useful if you want to install, let's say, multiple SnowMirrors onto one machine or make some changes. There's also an option if you want to upgrade an existing SnowMirror. So if you want to install a new patch or anything like that, it's super simple to update agent. Let's go with the custom install option, because I like to show you basically all of the options we've got there, but I won't change anything. Just you can change the installation folder. You can change the port. Because SnowMirror user interface is accessible via browser. So if you run multiple SnowMirrors, you want to change the ports to avoid occlusion. This step, you are configuring the so-called configuration database. So this is ServiceNow data. This is for the SnowMirror data itself. And the Oracle or SQL Server option. Let's stick file database right now. This will be good enough for the environment. And the Windows service, the name is SnowMirror. We don't have changes. So that's it. Let's install the tool. We are done. Now, the web service is starting. It usually takes about a minute or two. And the next step will be we will get a configuration wizard. So we'll be configuring the most important steps with SnowMirror. And the first step is going to be the license. So I will look at my I will get the live here. License key. Copy that. The line is so long because we don't have any licensed server. SnowMirror never ever collects our servers because of security reasons. So the license key contains all the necessary information. Let's go. And now we have to define a ServiceNow host name, the ServiceNow source. So let's connect to one of our instances. And let's use the admin account. I see one of the questions here. For evaluation purposes, we recommend using admin account because it's much easier to set up. But for production use, we recommend you to create a dedicated role and define permissions for such a user. We even provide update set for you if you want to create a role using an update set, or you can create such a role manually. All of the information is in our admin guide. When creating the role, it might be useful for you to use this test connection button, which only checks the connection between the agent and your ServiceNow, but it also checks the permissions. So if there is any permission missing, you will get the information that, like, hey, you don't have access to system dictionary and tables, for example. So for the test, it takes some time. As you can see here, and I see one of the questions already, you are able to connect using your SOAP or REST API. Both APIs are fully supported. REST API is, I think, a newer one. It even works better with smaller instances. However, our experience is that the SOAP API works better with the bigger instances. It is more stable. It does not time out. We usually recommend our bigger users to stick to the SOAP. It was just fine. Now, target things. So this is going to be a database option. As you can see, we've got several options like MySQL, MariaDB, including the AWS RDS, the managed MySQL. We support Oracle, Postgre, MySQL Server, again including the managed SQL Server in Azure or other platforms. So let's SQL Server, and let's look at my own SQL Server Management Studio. So this is an empty SQL Server. I will create a brand new database here called. So this is the list that will contain the replicated data. So let's go back here. So the database is called Mirror. I just fill in some credentials here. Test connection again, if everything is set up correctly. Good. Then I can configure an SMTP server for sending notifications. We can fix that for now. And then we create a user into SnowMirror. So I will create an admin account here with some password. And that's it. SnowMirror installed and configured. So let's replicate. SnowMirror now, and I will create what we call synchronization. It is basically a replicated table using synchronization button. For the first, it takes some time because now it is loading the list of the tables from ServiceNow. So Server reads the metadata basically from the dictionary. So here in the list of the tables, here are all the tables available, all tables in your platform, including custom tables. For example, here, as you can see, these U underscore tables, or even the system tables are here. For example, the user is available. So let's, at first example, let's replicate the CMDB table. This is one of the key tables in the configuration database. In the app is options. I will go through them later. But the most important task here is to select the field. Of course, the most popular option is to select all of the fields. Might be a good idea to just pick what you really need for your reporting, because let's say the incident description column is not really useful for reporting, but it contains a lot of data, so it doesn't make sense to replicate such a field. You can insert the fields like that. Let me just select 3 fields. For example, count the records to see the table. This is just a simple demo instance, 2,700 records. Let me go. And the last schedule. So the message here is SnowMirror performs scheduled replication. We've got several options here. You can have daily updates. You can load the data several times a week. You can configure SnowMirror to data even in near real time. So let's say once 1 hour or hourly or every 10 minutes, you can get the update. We've got cron expression as well. So in this case, let's select the daily schedule to be safe in 3 o'clock in the morning to get the update. We've got a new synchronization called CDBG. 3 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. Of course, I can load the manually like that. Next important run loads all the data. So for bigger ServiceNow instances, it might take a while, several hours to load 10 million incidents. But the subsequent run is incremental. So it downloads just the deltas, just the new records, it updates the modified records, and it removes the delete. Let me show you. I'm drilled down to synchronization. I've got this useful icon next to a ServiceNow table name. I can run my ServiceNow instance. It opens the instance with the CMDB table. Let me update one of the records here. Let's update Sync.ci. Now if I go back here, SnowMirror, press synchronize once again. You will see it does just one record, just one updated modified record. So this is one of the key reasons why SnowMirror is able to work with the ServiceNow instances, because it does just 2,000 records every hour to get really the delta. Looks like on the database side. So this mirror DB that needs to be empty, but it contains a table called CMDBCI. I can select the here. So the SnowMirror has created a table called CMDBCI. It has created 3 columns with data types. SnowMirror contains a mapping between ServiceNow data types and, in this case, Microsoft data types. The table contains a sysid, so this is a primary key. It also contains some technical columns, like when the in-mirror side happened and when was the last update. This might be useful for additional downstream processing for additional ETLs. And that's it. This is SnowMirror in a nutshell. So these are really the basics. So let's show you some features in the menu here, because all of that we went through during configuration phase, such as license or now instance connection as a database connection. All is available here, and you can reconfigure SnowMirror if you need. One of the interesting things that is very popular is this notification management. So every time there is a failure or if there is a warning, you can get a notification. So, you can get an email if there is a failure or if it is successful again, or you can even get an email if there's a new field on the ServiceNow side or updated field. So you can get notifications that your ServiceNow team is deploying something, and you can change the data downstream processing. And there are other options. For example, you can monitor how is the performance going. You can modify the performance parameters and many other tools. What might be also interesting for you is that Snow is designed for, let's say, administrators. So, for example, if there is any failure, there is a complete history of all of the runs, including a detailed log. So if anything wrong, you can go through the log, check the messages, check the response times, and many things. If you are sure what is going wrong, you can download the log file, send it to our support, and they will guide you what you can fix and how to approach it. So let's once again, before we jump to the questions, let's create an incident table. But this time, in ServiceNow, let's replicate just critical incidents. So I'll filter machine critical and copy the here to fill data in SnowMirror. So let's create a new synchronization in SnowMirror again. Like incident table. And I explain you more options you've got here. You can rename the target table here. So for example, you can replicate one from ServiceNow into multiple tables in the mirror database. For example, downloading all incidents to a table called incident. But you can download critical incidents into a separate table called incident critical. Now, you can paste the query from ServiceNow to here. So this is a filter. So encoded query is a filter for the data. There is a option which we call delete strategy. This is a way to identify deleted records from ServiceNow. By what we use this audit, which is basically scanning the sys audit delete table to identify the records. But we've got other strategies such as brute comparison of the primary keys, some smarter comparison of primary keys, or you don't have to delete at all, more data archiving use cases. We also have this option of running table hierarchies in ServiceNow. So in this case, I will include task columns as well, the columns from task table. We've got a nice option which we call auto schema update. It allows you to if in ServiceNow, Snow automatically creates a new column in your database, so you don't have to care about schema changes. So this might be useful for you as well. And for voting purposes, another useful feature is that default SnowMirror downloads the data in third normal form, the references containing foreign keys, and you have joined the tables to build your reports. But we average this values ServiceNow functionality, so SnowMirror is able to download the values for reference records, like readable values for reference records as well. So you might save some of the joins. So let's use field. I've got just 32 incidents, not many. Step. In this case, I can do near real-time approach because it makes sense to have tables frequently. So let's do it every 15 minutes, and that I can run it immediately. I got an incident table in very quickly. So that, and if I refresh here in the mirror database, I've got the incident table, incident critical, that was the name, and it's there. So this is SnowMirror Basics. Come to my last slide of the presentation. What is licensing model? The licensing is based on the per installation model. Since this is not a service, this is the software. So any SnowMirrors you have, that's many licenses you need. We charge only for replicating production instances. We don't charge for production environments, so your test development environment might be free of charge. So basically you need just one license for your ServiceNow team. The offerings here, one of them is designed for very small ServiceNow customers or the customers that are just starting with ServiceNow. The most popular edition is this Enterprise Edition. It contains all features. There is no data limitation. It's our support as well. It also contains all the new versions, patches, and so on. The Cluster Edition here is designed for the super big instances, and the biggest difference is that no limitation on these number ServiceNow nodes. So this highest offering is able to utilize the bigger nodes fully, and it also includes the 24/7 support. So typically, as you can see here with the Light Edition, The price for the first year is in this case $1,000 US. The for every subsequent year, which we call renewal, is typically half the price. So in the case of the light edition, it is 10,000 and then 5K. So that licensing works. I would strongly recommend you to start free trial, even replicate your production instance, building a proof of concept, evaluating if it works for you, and then you can purchase with us. We have 10 minutes left, so let me your questions. Please type your questions into the chat window, and I will go one. I think I have answered Pavel's questions regarding privileges, so you don't have to use an admin account. I answered the soap question. There's a question from Shashikant. If you supporting OAuth, actually it is under development right now, so it will be released soon. I want to promise that it will be in June, but it will be definitely Q3. There is a question if we support the Snowflake database. At the moment, out of the box, we're able to add the support for additional databases very quickly. The only requirement is that the database provides a full-blown JDBC driver, because SnowMirror requires a real database to really copy the tables one to one. So if Snowflake database is fitting these requirements, we are able to add it in the future, or for you like privately or as a customization. Question from Jamie Harper: what is a bulk create? You were referring to this bulk create button here when creating a synchronization. It is basically a tool to create or how to download multiple tables at once, because if you want to download the whole asset management, you don't want to die of clicking. SnowMirror creates 20 or something tables at once, and it will download them one by one. So this might be useful if you want to replicate like the whole CMDB or something like that. Another question from Cody: could the original population be done from a clone and then change the configuration to the incrementals from the production instance? Yeah, technically, yes. But our experience is that the instances have to be extremely cluttered, especially the class of the table. So if it's like a clone and there won't be big changes in production, then yes, this is theoretical, and we are able to guide you how to do that. It's really some manual steps. From Chris: big tables are not syncing, reporting differences, can't match. Not sure, Chris, what you are actually referring to, but perhaps you have already evaluated SnowMirror, and there is a feature which we call consistency check, and that at the end of each log, there's a check that if there is the same number of records on the ServiceNow side and number of records on the mirror side, and if there's a difference, SnowMirror actually raises a warning. And there might be several root causes for that. It might be an incorrect configuration or auditing on the ServiceNow side. It can be some manual words like admin on the ServiceNow side. So there are many of root causes, and we got a nice knowledge article on our blog how to deal with situations. So drop me an email. I will definitely guide you to this article, how to handle inconsistencies. What I haven't shown here is data inconsistency. We have several ways how to fix them. You can reload the tables from scratch. You can run a diffsync to download the diffsync records. You reload the data since a certain timestamps and many other options. So this is really Shashikan, can you enable replication of a particular table and all related linked tables automatically? No, this is not possible. I always say that you have to understand the underlying data model, and we always recommend you to select the tables you really need. So you better consult this requirement with your ServiceNow consultant to recommend you all the tables you need. Table replication strategy and recommendation. The bottleneck in the whole replication architecture is the ServiceNow instance. SnowMirror is able to download the data much faster than ServiceNow is able to provide to send them. So with instances, it is very important to go to this performance section, select the number of nodes, and sometimes to tune some parameters here. So we have like bigger tables, I would say 5 million records and more in a single table. Talk to us and are able to guide you. Question from Mike Mealy. For every synchronization, is there synchronization timestamp captured? Distinguish changes over time? Yes. The replication is incremental. So SnowMirror always, like, it reverses the life of the synchronization and it downloads the data since then. We use the sys updated on field in the ServiceNow side to find the new and updated records. Question from Luis. Are any SnowMirror performance concerns for very large ServiceNow instances? Yeah, I'd say that if your ServiceNow instance is customized correctly, then typically don't see any performance impact. But if you're having any suboptimal ACLs or business rules, or if the ServiceNow infrastructure team is having some issues on their side, there might be some impact. But I would say the ServiceNow team is doing a great job, and I remember any big performance discussions with them in the past 2 years. I think they are getting better, and yeah. But if you are having a big instance, let's discuss this topic offline. I can guide you how to use SnowMirror to be as efficient as possible. Then can you go over how current the data pool is from this ServiceNow into Replica, and over any recommendation or configuration to avoid any performance issues on the replication process? I'm not sure if I'm getting the question. We typically recommend our users to sell or to sell most of the tables once a day, especially let's say static tables that do not change very often, like users, groups, CD, for example, and then select a smaller table that you really need for your reporting and configure them, for example, run every 15 or 10 minutes. This is a very safe approach how to avoid any issues. Because, of course, if you configure 1,000 tables to replicate a minute, then you are putting a serious load on your instance. So SnowMirror is a model tool, and you have to know know what you are doing. For loops, you are in a particular error. The count of the values in service response is not correct. This is more a question for our support, but I can tell you that this is most likely an issue. Your user is not having permissions to access all of the fields. Another question from you is, what happens if there is any column add removes in ServiceNow source DB? Yeah, I was already showing you that you can option select this auto schema update option here. In this case, if you enable auto schema update, SnowMirror will add such a new field to the database automatically. Or if this is enabled, you will see the new available column here. You can add it manually. If you use the notifications, there's also a notification and an email. That's what you might get. Application, bring tables and use. Yes, it's able to replicate not only tables, but also views or attachments as files and many other things. Cisco Shashikant is having 32 million records, and it took 1 day to load. And yes, explaining you, we the SnowMirror together, and also the bottleneck here is ServiceNow. So in this case, perhaps even ServiceNow on the Now side, that would be a good idea to do a few parameters and talk to your engineer. It's not that number. We've got customers having 100 million records in a single table. So definitely, and the last question, can we meet offline to go over errors? Yes, please contact our support using support@snowmirror.com, and we will help you with your issues. So we ran out of time. Thanks everybody for joining the webinar. There is a recording for you, and you will update for the meeting space. Of course, if you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to contact us using the contact form or drop me an email. You can also drop me an email to get the slides. We can also schedule a private demo for you and your team. So thank you so much for joining, and have a nice day.